Web Marketing That Works podcast, episode 118, with today's guest, Tor Refsland, the time management chef.
Welcome to the Web Marketing That Works podcast. Come behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments and listen in as amazing guests confess the truth about what really works. Now, here are your hosts, Adam Franklin and Toby Jenkins.
My name's Adam Franklin, and this is going to be a big shock for many viewers, but for the first time in, I think, 100 episodes, we are joined by Toby Jenkins for the pre-show chat. How are you, Toby?
Yeah, good. It's good. Hard to believe after 100-odd episodes to finally do a joint intro again. Yeah, it's been a while, so it's fun to be back doing it again.
Yeah, it's been... We originally were doing, for listeners who are maybe new to the show, we originally started with both of us doing the pre-show and the post-show chats, and then just dividing and conquering for the actual interview part itself. But then we realized we felt like we were making, too much homework for ourselves, and it was always hard to coordinate calendars, and, we'd have a little bit of a chat here and a little bit of chat at the end, but it was a lot easier just to divide and conquer the whole lot and basically take ownership of, respective episodes and have either myself or you, Tobes, running one. But we're changing that today and revisiting this format because I had a interesting Skype chat this morning with a guy called Sean Duffy. And I know you'll be listening, Sean, so welcome. And
thanks for the prompt, Sean.
Thanks for the prompt, because Sean said he's listened to every single one of our podcasts. And I said, what sort of feedback have you got for us? What do you like? What don't you like? And he said, I miss those old days where both you and Toby are doing the pre-show chats and the post-show chats. And I said, is that right?
Glory days.
So it was over 100 episodes ago. So, Sean, we are doing it for this show and hopefully for a few more. Because at the end of the day, I realised I can just call you from my computer and you can pick up Skype on your phone, even if you're in between meetings, or we can just do it at convenient times of the day. We don't need to be in the same location and set up the mic and all of that sort of stuff. We can do it on the go. So anyway, that is what we are doing today. So let's just give it the usual intro. This is the Web Marketing That Works podcast, and it's the show for people like you and like me and like Toby who love marketing on the web. We'll take you behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments where we look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. We confess what's failed and reveal the truth about what really works. The show is brought to you by the book that Toby and I wrote, which is also called Web Marketing That Works. And we have a gift for you, our valued listener, and that is the bundle of 33 free marketing templates. Now, you can get your hands on those over at bluewiremedia.com.au/book. So, Tobes, today's guest, I've just finished interviewing, and he's a guy called Tor Refsland. He's from Norway, and he's known as the time management chef. Now, he's all about productivity, and we get into more of it on the show, but what's interesting is that...
What do you guys cook up today?
Well, he's really passionate about marketing, as both you and I are, but he didn't want to just be a marketing guy teaching people about marketing. He wanted to actually go and prove himself in a certain niche, or a niche, as Americans say, but prove himself in a particular niche. And the niche that he found himself in, based on some advice with mentors and consultants, was this productivity/time management niche. So it's an interesting story because he sort of learns the ropes and proves his chops in a time management sense from his job, and then blogging about it subsequently. And in the show, he actually shares how he got on 85 different blogs. He wrote guest blog articles for 85 different blogs in his first 12 months of blogging, which really
solid.
It's really solid. Yeah, it really piqued my attention because remember when we were launching our book, Tobes, we had all these grand plans of guest blogging for, say, 50 or 60 different blogs.
Mm.
And it's tough work.
It is.
It's really tough work. And we had the spreadsheet all laid out and all the domain authorities of each of them and the people that we'd built relationships with. But at the end of the day, it just takes that much time and effort that it's much easier said than done. And we certainly did quite a bit of guest blogging, but nowhere near 85 in 1 year. So that was a really interesting part of his story. So there's a few more things that I wouldn't mind discussing with you, Tobes. We'll save that for the post-show discussion. How about now we head over to the show and hear what Tor Refsland has to say?
Sounds good.
Cool. It's Adam Franklin here, and on the line I have Tor Refsland. How are you, Tor?
I'm fine, thank you. How's it going?
I'm well. Now, as we were just saying off air, I'm actually down in Australia, so it's very warm for us at the moment, and I gather very, very cold where you are over in Norway.
Yeah, we have a -7 degrees Celsius, so yeah, we got a bit snow here.
Now, mate, you are known as the time management chef. So to give our listeners a little bit of context, can you talk us through what it is that you do and how you help people?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking. So, like, my domain name and my brand is Time Management Chef. And in the start, because to be quite honest, I'm just going to say it like it is. When I started blogging, I hired a lot of expensive coaches, and I really wanted to kind of blog about my passion, which is actually marketing. But I didn't want to become one of those fake bloggers who would be like this, oh, I will teach you how to get 10,000 subscribers. And then you have 2 email subscribers, it's yourself and your mother. So I needed to do something because I'm like so focused on providing awesome value. So I needed to do something that I was really good at. And when I was working for one of the biggest companies in Norway, earning 6 figures, I managed to increase my own productivity with 200%. So it basically means that I managed to do in 2 hours what I used to spend 8 hours on doing. So it was like, okay, I really know how to hack my own productivity, and I can help other people to do that. So I started by doing productivity and help online entrepreneurs to skyrocket their productivity and to increase their income. But now after 1 year, in my first year of blogging, I just applied massive action and just like really became really productive. So I managed to get featured on 85 blogs in my first year of blogging and also get about 3,000 email subscribers. So then I was like, okay, now I kind of actually have done something, and this is actually what more and more people are hiring me to help them with, to how to explode their blog in the start and how to do it right. And then it was like, okay, I can actually just start to pivot more into marketing and to actually help connecting with influencers and to grow your blog by, leverage those relationships in a very win-win situations.
Okay, cool. So that's neat that you actually had something that you wanted to apply yourself to, which was that productivity area. Now tell me, Tor, did they double your salary or triple your salary when you increased your productivity by so much?
I can assure you they did not, Adam. They gave me the fantastic opportunity, or kind of actually forced me to even give me more work.
Yeah.
And with no more pay. So like, they were like, I was just like, hey, seriously, you want? So I was actually working like insane amount of hours. I was working like 150%. So that's about, I had the workload as 1.5 person.
Right.
And then they suddenly wanted to give me the workload of 3 people. I'm not kidding, like 3 full-time positions. They wanted to cram onto me. And I was just in the meeting with them, and I was just like, hey, you can kind of put makeup on the pig, but it still looks like a pig. Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to do that. That's like suicide. I will become burnt out before I started. So, yeah, long story short, I decided to leave because I thought that I've been working my butt off for 2 decades for help shareholders increase their revenue and to help other people build their dreams. So why not do the same for myself?
Yeah, that's really cool. So you went from doing 3 times the work for the same amount of pay because you were so productive to then talking about some of that stuff online and gradually teaching more people. And then the part I'm most interested in talking about is how you then got onto 85 blogs in the first year. That's a huge achievement because, you know, a lot of times I personally have read about these sorts of stories in the past. Like I really admire what Leo from Buffer, the co-founder of Buffer, did when they were kicking off. And he was on, you know, about the same number of blogs as well in the first 12 months. And it got them tremendous visibility and tremendous traffic. But, you know, when you actually sit down to do it, it's tough work, you know, like reaching out to people and writing good quality content and, you know, doing it 85 times in the first year is no small feat. So I've got a couple of questions just on this because that's what I'd love to focus on today's podcast. So firstly, how did you decide which blogs to approach? And then we'll go into how you identified the person to approach later.
Sure. So, like, as we talked about in the start, my niche was productivity. So I just Googled, like, top productivity blogs. And I just read through all the, I think it was maybe the two first pages on Google, and then just made a list of, and I got an impression who were the real influencers. So my first blog was Time Management Ninja with Craig Jarrow, who's one of the big blogs when it comes to time management. And so how I reached out to him was basically in the first, when you're a nobody. So I just started to comment on his blog and just wrote very long, very value-providing comments that really stood out. And he replied to that. And then I just hit him up on Twitter, and we just started connecting a little bit, so at least he knew who I was. And then I just basically visited his website, and I looked that he accepted guest posts. And I clicked on the guest post guidelines, and it said the last person who wrote a guest post here was Chris Brogan. So I was just Chris Brogan, oh, wow, oh my God. Then he only accepts high quality content. And I was okay, well, I'll just do this. And then I took a look at his website, and I found out that my content is at least as good as what he had published before. So I just wrote the blog post, and it got accepted.
And how do you actually approach them? You obviously did all that preliminary work of commenting on his blog, interacting on Twitter, so he knew who he was. How do you, and you visited the site to make sure that, to check if they do accept guest blog posts, but how then do you make your approach? Do you send them an email, or do you fill out a form on their website? What do you do, and what do you say?
Yeah, so in this case, he wanted, he had clear guidelines on his blog, and he wanted complete articles. So I just sent a complete article to him because he had a system for it. So I just sent in an application with the complete article. But how I do it now is quite different. But that is at least what I did in the start.
And what's been your experience when you look up, say, a blog, and, firstly, a lot of them do say that they accept guest blog posts. But have you found that some blogs, they might say that they don't accept guest blog posts, but, in actual fact, they do if you approach it the right way?
So I have a very clever tactic. So what I did in the start, I followed people who had been guest posting a lot on big websites. And I just looked at their website and looked which blogs they had been posting on. So I just kind of followed their same steps.
That's really clever. And did you actually form relationships with those people as well? Did you reach out to those people?
Yeah, I did that too.
Huh. So, Tor, I've seen that you've been doing a lot of guest blog posts, and you've also been a guest on quite a few podcasts. Now, in your experience, which ones sort of delivered the most value, or which one have you got the most traction with in terms of, I guess, your results? And how do you measure those results as well?
It's a very good question. It can be really challenging to measure, because what most people are talking about all the time is how many subscribers did you get? How many subscribers did you get? Oh, so, okay, getting subscribers is just a bonus, but it's really all about connecting with the new audience and focusing on providing really awesome value. And that's kind of how you build your brand. So, for instance, every time I do something, if it's a post on my own blog, or if it's a guest post, or if it's I get invited to an expert roundup where they want my opinion and post it in a big roundup post, I always give 110%. I pour my everything into it because I want it to be my most awesome piece that I've ever created. Okay, long story short, started working for the biggest companies in Norway. I worked for a SAP consulting firm. It's an IT consulting firm. So then after 1.5 years, I got headhunted. And when the headhunter interviewed me, he was really amazed by my attitude. And he said to me that what you should do, Tor, is that I really like your uplifting spirit, and you have really positive, and you really kind of apply massive action. And what you should do, Tor, you should never compromise on delivering high quality content. You should always prioritize to give awesome value and awesome quality. And that is something that I've done. So when you do this, people start noticing you. And to be quite honest, on all those 85 blogs, I've probably just reached out to maybe 10 of them, because the rest I'm actually getting invited to. because of me providing awesome value, people are noticing me and people are inviting. So most people, as I said, are interested in how many subscribers you get. But let me tell you something else. So when I was invited to do a roundup post, I was to contribute to a roundup post on king.com. It's like the top internet marketing forum. So I just gave like an insane amount of value. I think the size of my contribution, like normal people just give like a sentence or two. But in my case, I wrote like it was like a freaking blog post, the size of it. And it was just packed with awesome value. And then the founder of King.com reached out to me, Kingsley, and he personally thanked me for providing such an awesome value to his audience. And then he said, I really love what you do. If I ever can do something to help you out, please let me know. And I just took massive action on that opportunity immediately and said, hey, that's awesome. I would love to write a guest post for your awesome audience. And yeah, so I did. It's about, I just sent it in, so it will be published probably soon.
Nice, well done. So basically, like your first 10 or so blog posts, you were reaching out to people, and then you did such a good job that you built a name for yourself and built this reputation that basically then you were on people's radar and they started to approach you.
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the things that you've done wrong or that haven't worked as well as you'd hoped?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So what I've done wrong was that in the start, I wanted to please everyone. So I was invited to a lot of blogs and I said yes to guest posts on very small blogs. It's what's more because I knew who the person was and I wanted to just help them out. And I kind of felt that it was cool to do a guest post. But like in retrospect, I was spending my time, wrong. In addition, I was getting overwhelmed by the shining object syndrome. So I was listening to a gazillion of different experts. Yeah, you have like 100 different tactics, and every one of these so-called experts were proclaiming that, oh, my method works. So in the start, I was just like jumping around like, just a crazy person without like a clear intention and strategy.
It's so easy to do online, hey, and each expert, their own story has most definitely worked for them, but, it's just a matter of sort of picking one and not just being pulled in a million different directions and procrastinating as you go.
Yeah.
So what will be your approach to guest blogging on your own blog, on the Time Management Chef blog? Will you just be writing it all yourself, or will you be accepting guest blog posts? Like, how do you balance that out now?
It's a good question. So, I initially had planned to not accept guest posts, but then I was approached by some of the influencers in my industry who wanted to guest post on my blog, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But I probably will stop accepting guest posts, I think, because the thing is that getting a guest post, like, I really understand the return on investment if you have the time to, and you want people to help contribute, and it also kind of helps you to become more an influencer since people are reaching out to you. But to be quite honest, and now I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to say like it is. Like, there are so many people there who don't know how to write an awesome guest post. So basically you will spend a lot of time reading through bad pitches, and like if they have attached the post is really bad. And it's like, if you were to give feedback in order to kind of help them to edit the post, you could actually just have written the post yourself. So, and I don't have a team currently to be doing that, so I will probably turn down guest posting from now on. Yeah.
And so, Tor, tell me more about the bigger picture. Like, how does social media fit into your blogging process?
Social media is an important tool. So what I do is that I have Facebook account, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google Plus accounts. So, and I'm also a part of Triber. In Triber, it's kind of a community with groups, and they're all connected to Twitter accounts. So you kind of form your own groups and you help share each other's stuff. And once I have a post that goes live, I just it will automatically get shared on Triber, and people will share it there. And I also just post it on my my social media channels. Did that answer your question?
It did. And how about in terms of, you said you've attracted 3,000 email subscribers as a result of publishing these 85 blog posts all around the internet. Do you typically have like a call to action at the bottom of your post or in your author bio? And if you do, is that something that you insist on, or that you look for opportunities where you're allowed to, in order to actually, decide to take the time to write a guest blog post for somebody else's audience?
Yeah, so when I do guest posts, I never do a guest post if I'm not allowed to have a bio with a link to. So that's why I like to kind of follow other people's steps, because I just see that is this blog already accepting guest posts? Okay, they've written here, they've published a guest post here, and then I check the bio if they have a link to it. So if you're not able to get a link to your landing page so you can have a call to action in your bio, it will be a total waste of time.
And then how much of your decision-making sort of process is based on like the domain authority of the blog that you're writing for? So that, for the listeners, if you get a backlink from a high authority website, that actually impacts the authority of your website. A lot of that trust and authority is passed on through that backlink to your site. So in your situation, Tor, do you pay much attention to the domain authority of the blogs that you're writing for?
To be quite honest, I haven't been doing it so far, because I knew that the blogs I was have been targeting this year are like one of the biggest blogs. So it just got published on Jeff Bullas, and I'm working on the piece, or just sent in the piece for King.com, and I also got invited to guest post for Sumo Me, which have like, I think 240,000 email subscribers, and they're all like interested in marketing. So like all those blogs, I already knew that were the big dogs, but I use a software that's called Ninja Outreach. And it has like this Google Chrome extension. So I just click on the icon when I visit a blog, and it will automatically give me like the domain ranking, like the amount of backlink, the Alexa ranking, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I will do that more on this year. I will only be guest posting on like high authority blogs within marketing, because if not, it's not worth my time.
Excellent. And then how about once you get people subscribing, firstly to download your ebook, and then secondly, once they're on that email list of yours, how then do you nurture those contacts once they become part of your ecosystem?
So what I've been doing so far is that I have a pre-written email sequence. Then I just focus on offering them awesome value. And when they're finished with the email sequence, I'll just keep updating them and send them an email when a guest post goes live, if it's within kind of a good fit for them. But in my first year of blogging, I kind of cracked the code on how to apply massive action to get email subscribers. And this year I'm going to focus on that in addition to monetize my list. So yeah, I will start monetizing my list in a much better way this year.
I do just want to revisit the question that I thought I had asked, but we didn't get quite to the answer to earlier. So Tor, how do you actually make that approach? Like for those first 10 articles that you've written for guest blogs where they haven't reached out to you, what sort of stuff do you say on that email, and who are you actually contacting?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, I think I just sent the contribution to the first guest post, and then I started to get invited on a lot of guest posts. So it wasn't just the 10 first emails that I had to reach out to, but it was among those 85, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, like my best way to reach out now, I can do like now when I've kind of had a lot of traction and I've written for some of like the biggest blogs in the world. I've been writing for Lifehack and Pick the Brain, Tiny Buddha. I've been featured on SEMrush, Ahrefs, and Jeff Bullas and Addicted to Success, like the big blogs. So now what I basically do, I just send an email, and it probably has the topic just quick question or something like that. And then I just pitch like directly, say that I've been reading your blog and insert the blog name, and I really appreciate what you're doing. I would love to write a guest post for your awesome audience. And here are a few suggested headlines. And then I have written the headlines and spent some time on creating some great headlines. And I just say like, hey, these are not kind of down your alley, let me know, and I'll get back to the drawing board and come up with something new. And then I just say a few things about me, and then I say something like, hey, I'm an online entrepreneur from Norway, love marketing, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, I just say, here are some of my published articles. And then I just put in the biggest names and the best articles that I've written. So once people see that I've been published on some of the biggest blogs, it's much easier to get accepted with a cold pitch.
And do you remember how you got in touch with us? I think we were dealing with Will Blunt that runs our blog. Do you remember how that unfolded?
Yeah, I will share it with you. And I will actually share one of my best blogger outreach strategies, or like networking with influencer strategies for your audience. So your audience will be the first where I'm revealing this, okay?
Yeah, sounds cool. Thanks.
Okay, this is a technique that I call thank you for the party technique. So it basically works like this. So I've been creating awesome value on a roundup post that I was invited to participate in. So my content is really great. And once the post goes live and they have like perhaps this, 50 experts talking about topic, blah, blah, blah. And then I reach out to every single one of the other influencers on that list. And I just say like, hey, you rock. It's so awesome to be featured on this website together with you, and just paste the link where we were featured. Just say, yeah, high five, slap, stay awesome, Tor. That's it. And then people respond. And then I respond back and I engage. And then I just say something, for instance, like, yeah, that's really cool. And they say something nice about me. I just say, hey, thank you. And by the way, how's business? And then it starts with an engagement. So that's actually how it started with Will. And Will was just like, oh, I really like what you're doing. If I can do anything to help you out, please let me know. And then he told me that he was content manager or the editor for jeffbullas.com. And he told me that he also was helping you guys with your website. And I just like, oh, whoa, they have a cool podcast. And I just like took massive action and said, oh, thanks a lot. Well, I really appreciate that. By the way, I got published on Jeff Bullas before, and it would be really awesome to get published there again. Here are 3 suggested headlines. Bam, bam, bam. And by the way, the Bluewire Media podcast looks freaking awesome. I would really appreciate if you could see if you could get me booked there. And yeah, here are the few things that I managed to do in my first years of blogging, get featured on 85 blogs, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So he kind of did the outreach for me.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really good. I remember Will introducing us, and I just was very keen to hear the backstory because I hadn't heard that, all the stuff that had gone on. So thanks for sharing that. And what did you call that technique again?
The thanks for the party technique.
Thanks for the party.
Yeah, thanks for the party technique, because it's basically like a roundup post is like a big party. So it's just like you've been at a really cool party, and then actually you just hit them up and just say, hey, thanks for the party. That's it. It's like really low key, no intrusive. And since you both have been featured on the same roundup post, you're kind of more like peers, if that makes sense.
It does. That's a very neat approach you've got there. The thanks for the party technique by Tor Refsland. I love it.
It works like gangbusters. I even got new clients by doing that. But the thing is that it has to be genuine. And like my only intention for actually doing that is that I love to connect with people, and people feel that. So I don't care about, how will I leverage this relationship in the future? I don't care. I just want to connect with awesome people. That's it. And like, if we connect, that's cool. And if we do something cool together in the future, that's cool, but it's just a bonus.
Yeah, I love your attitude. That's a great philosophy for marketing, I reckon. So Tor, look, thank you. That's been very valuable. There's a little bit of work I need to do on that front as well. I certainly do like reaching out to people if I am featured in a book or on the same blog post as somebody else, but I haven't yet gone through every single person. So that's given me a little challenge. And like you, I love reaching out to people and connecting with them too. So I like how you just keep it simple and you say thanks for the party. I think that's a really good take home. So mate, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so I've created a big bonus for your awesome listeners. So I'm putting together a free course on how to blog outreach like a boss. So it's not finished, but it's in the making. And I only have 100 spots. So they can go to timemanagementchef.com/Adam and get on the waiting list.
Excellent work. All right, so that's timemanagementchef.com/Adam.
That's correct. And I will actually be sharing like some really awesome outreach techniques that no one else uses.
Awesome. All right, well, that's a great initiative. I'm going to include a link to that in the show notes and on the email that we send out to email subscribers as well, Tor. So thank you very much. Really glad we got in touch, and congrats on all that you're doing.
Thanks, Matt. I had a blast.
Me too. Cheers, mate.
Okay, bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for my chat with Tor Refsland. So, Tobes, we're back together on the post-show chat.
Yeah, thanks again, Sean.
How do you like the pre-show chat? Good to be back on the mic together?
Yeah, no, it's really fun. I mean, it's one of the parts that we've enjoyed so much about the business has been doing it together. So, it just makes perfect sense from the podcast standpoint too.
Yeah, it's fun to reflect on the show and actually have a bit of a discussion about, I guess, what I've learned because I did the interview and then talking it through with you. Some of the take-home things for me from that chat with Tor. Firstly, I just liked how he took the approach when he was trying to get published on various productivity blogs. He did two things that really stood out. First was literally just the simple approach of Googling productivity bloggers and then getting a list of them all and proactively stalking them, proactively reading their blog, picking the ones that he liked, leaving meaningful blog comments, connecting with the author or the blogger on Twitter, having a Twitter exchange, and then gradually evolving that relationship into an email exchange, and then asking to write a guest blog post for the awesome readers or awesome listeners that particular blogger or podcaster had. So it goes to show that, it can be simple stuff. And we've got our blogger outreach email template that we released as part of our book. And what Tor has done is basically a carbon copy of exactly that. And it's so cool to see because this stuff actually works. And it doesn't have to be complicated or anything like that. But reaching out to people and building relationships and, delivering value and taking your time and being genuine and sincere, it really is a proven strategy. And Tor certainly proven it there. Now, Tobes, one final thing that Tor spoke about was his own technique that he hasn't shared on any other podcast ever before, and he's coined it the thanks for the party technique. Do you want me to talk you through that?
Yeah, hit me.
When he's included in, say, like an expert roundup post, 15 experts talk about SEO or 20 experts give their take on social media, those sorts of posts, whenever he's featured on one of those, he actually takes the time to write individually to each of the other experts that's been featured on that blog post and just writes them a note and says, hey, whoever, it was cool to see you on this roundup post, and shares the link. Keep up the good work, or, high fives or whatever else. And that is just such a cool technique because you're sort of at that peer level and you're just sort of patting them on the back and saying, I see you, you're doing good work, and getting on their radar or staying on their radar, which got me thinking, and it's quite amusing, but I want you to try and remember that book that you were just in recently, Tobes, by Kevin Cruz?
Yeah. It got me thinking too. That's a kick up the butt to actually go do something along those lines.
But what's really funny is can you remember the full name of the book?
So it was 15 time management secrets from 3 billionaires, 13 Olympians, 239 entrepreneurs, 18 A-grade students. Was that it?
That's it, yeah. So 239
that's quite a shopping list.
You can reach out to one by one and introduce yourself or reconnect with. So I thought, that's awesome. That'll give Tobes a bit of homework there.
A bit of homework, yeah. See you at the end of the year, just writing the outreach emails.
That's it. So that was a good one from Tor, I thought. And I was just immediately amused when I was thinking to myself of the number of people that were included in that book and how much fun it'll be to reach out to all of them one by one. But I think it's it's a great strategy and something that I'll be revisiting, some roundup posts that I've been featured on and ones that are coming out soon. Actually, Tor and I will be on one in the coming weeks. I'm led to believe the same roundup post talking about email list building. So I'm going to make a definite note to drop a line to all the people that are also on that post. So TJ, that's the wrap, I think. I'm just going to finish by just reminding listeners that Our intent is always to deliver actionable content on these podcasts. So I hope you found it valuable and hope you found a few things there that you can put into action. I certainly know that I have, and I've kind of dogged Toby in for a bit of homework there as well. Sean Duffy, thank you.
Good to be back on it with you again, mate.
Thanks for the
homework.
Yeah, plenty of homework. That'll be the last time Tobes comes on the post-show notes with me. Oh, we can blame Sean Duffy, so, mate, that's it. Well, yeah, Sean's fault.
Yeah.
So, yes, the actionable advice. Hope you found it valuable. We love your feedback. You can email me, adam.franklin@bluewiremedia.com.au. You can email toby.jenkins@bluewiremedia.com.au. Tweet us, Franklin_Adam or Toby_Jenkins. And if you haven't got your hands on our marketing templates, please feel free to help yourself to those. They are available at bluewiremedia.com.au/book. And finally, if you found the show interesting and useful, we would love it if you could leave us a review on either iTunes or Stitcher or SoundCloud. It really does help increase our visibility on those podcast directories. So it helps us continue to get good quality guests like Tor and like the other 100 or so people we've had on the show to date. And actually, one final note just before we call it a wrap, Tobes, I just wanted to acknowledge one of the mistakes I made in the early days of podcasting. I've spoken about it at conferences, but not on the show. And Sean reminded me of it today. He said he was binge listening to our early shows because back when we launched in April 2014, we were doing probably 4 shows a week, and we were loving it. The downloads were pointing north in terms of the chart. We're getting more and more downloads. We were on New and Noteworthy. And then he said, all of a sudden, it was just like nothing came out for like a month. And he was just so pleased when we did come back and do more shows that he could get back into the show. But there was this long silence, and I was going, oh, man, I know. I was kicking myself, and I explained that I'd gone to Bali to experiment living and working remotely. And in retrospect, I didn't have any shows in the pipeline. I'd underestimated the Wi-Fi that would be available to me over there. And you were busy having a baby. And so we just had, no shows up our sleeve for that month. And it was just pretty much silence with the exception of maybe one show. But it was just looking back, life does sometimes get in the way. But I did just want to acknowledge that was a bit of a rookie move. So if any listeners are thinking of starting a podcast or have a podcast and are thinking of going on holiday, make sure you've at least got quite a few shows up your sleeve, just in case you can't record them while you're out and about. So anyway, we live and learn. We make mistakes, but we own up to them, and we try and improve, don't we, Toads?
Indeed, and we've made plenty of them. So please learn from ours.
Yeah, plenty of them. We'll share. We'll continue to share more of those on future episodes. But look, thank you for listening all the way through to the end, Tobes. Thanks for joining me on the pre-show and the post-show. It's been great having you back.
Yeah, it's been good fun to do it again together.
And listeners, we will see you on the next show. Cheers.
Sounds great. Thanks.